We're live. Hey there, how's it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward, with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding live streaming video Q&A. And the purpose of this Q&A is to help you with any challenges that you're dealing with when it comes to building muscle, losing fat, any specific things that you want to discuss with regards to your workouts, your nutrition program, supplementation, all that kind of stuff. You can go ahead and post your questions in the chat window, and I'll do my best to help you out in any way that I can during our live video chat today. So I'll be hanging out here for the next hour, answering questions on a first-come, first-served basis. So those of you who are tuning in right now, your questions will most likely get answered right away. So again, please do that. And of course, before we get started, I just want to do a quick little video and audio check. Make sure that you can hear me and see me and that everything's coming through loud and clear before I actually get into answering your questions. So I'm just going to get some things organized on my end. And if you can let me know if you can hear me and see me and all that, I would greatly appreciate it. And then post in your questions and we'll take it from there. All right, we got several people coming through here now. Excellent. Okay, just need to organize my screens a bit. We have Woodulos joining us. Okay, there's some questions come through. I just want to make sure that we can hear you. Okay, Adam saying we can hear you. Good stuff. Thank you, guys. All right, Woodulos is joining us, and he says, "Hi, Lee. Greetings from Scotland. His question is about BCAAs. Are they worth the money or overrated?" Branched chain amino acids, they are a helpful supplement. One thing that you'll notice now, if you do some research on amino acids and kind of just, not even research, you do some like searching through YouTube videos, reading the forums and things like that, a lot of people are kind of getting away from branched chain amino acids and moving more towards essential amino acids. And this makes a lot of sense because branched chain amino acids are basically only 3 amino acids. Now, granted, they are the 3 most important amino acids that are required for muscle growth, but the essential amino acids are all the amino acids, all 9 of the essential amino acids that you need, the ones that your body cannot produce on its own. And that's what a lot of people are going for now. So rather than just sticking with the branched chain amino acids, they're going with the essential amino acids. It's usually a little bit more expensive, but it is money well spent. And how I recommend that you supplement with these if you want to use them, because it's not required. All right, let's just cover that right off the bat. Amino acid supplements are not required in order to make progress. I mean, the only thing you need is exercise, nutrition, and adequate rest and recovery. I mean, if you have those 3 things in place, you can still make progress regardless if you use any sort of supplements whatsoever. But when it comes to amino acid supplements, if you are going to use them during your workouts or any sort of high intensity activity. So if you're doing high intensity sports, high intensity training in the gym, a high intensity cardio session, you may want to supplement with amino acids, essential amino acids, that is, to help aid with recovery and growth and to prevent muscle breakdown during that high intensity training. You could also add them with, like, if you're having a pre-workout shake, you could add the essential amino acids with that. If you're having a post-workout shake, you could add the essential amino acids with that. But you want them around that window of your workout time to aid with recovery and growth from the workout. So that's when you would use them. Are they worth the money? For an advanced lifter who is trying to really push the envelope and kind of squeeze as much progress as they can out of their workouts, yes, they are worth the money. For just your beginner or an average recreational lifter who's not as serious, then it's really an optional supplement. I mean, it's certainly not going to hurt, but it's certainly not required to make progress. Sip of coffee. All right, another question coming through. This one is from Poke Goo. How can I lose body fat? I'm 16, skinny fat, got belly fat, and small wrists. I don't know what to do. Well, if I were to, I mean, this is a very broad question. So, I mean, how to lose body fat is we could do a whole video chat on that alone, but I'm just going to kind of cover some fundamentals. All right, you're 16 years old and you say you're skinny fat. Are you working out right now? If not, that would be step one. Start working out, weight training and cardio. Step two, your nutrition. What are you currently eating in the run of a day? I mean, do you have any sort of structure to your nutrition plan, or is it just whatever you want to eat, whatever food is available? And as long as you're not hungry, you're eating good. I mean, a lot of people are at that stage. Like, they have no idea of how many calories, how much protein, how much carbs, fat. I mean, they just eat whatever tastes good. And as long as they're not hungry, they think they're eating good. So if that's the situation you're in right now, you want to focus on cleaning up that nutrition. And to help you with that, I have a free bodybuilding nutrition made simple guide that you can follow. And you can get this right on my website at leehayward.com. You'll see it there right in the side menu bar. Just scroll down, click on the link, bodybuilding nutrition made simple. It's a short little PDF ebook report, but it covers the fundamentals of how to structure your eating to aid with muscle growth as well as burning body fat. So that's step two. Step three would be the consistency. This is kind of like the glue that holds everything together. You can have the workout and the cardio and the nutrition all in place, but if you're not consistent with that over the long term, then you're really not going to make any progress, or at least not any serious progress towards your goals. So consistency is the most important thing. And I'm going to give you a heads up. To build muscle and burn fat is going to take longer than you probably think. A lot of people think that they're going to start working out and eating right, and in the matter of a few weeks, they're going to be, jacked and ripped, and look out, here, I'm ready for the beach. Here we go. But it usually doesn't work that way. It's probably going to take you a few months of steady training before you're going to see any real noticeable progress, and usually upwards of a full year of training before you get to the point where other people are going to see the changes in your physique. Now, I mean, you may see some progress before that, especially in terms of strength gains and energy and things like that. But if you're looking at real noticeable physical changes, it's going to take a year or more. So you have to be willing to put in the time to achieve it. And at 16 years old, you've got a lot of time ahead of you. So just focus on the three basic elements. Again, the training, the nutrition, and the consistency, and you'll move yourself in the right direction. And those ebooks that I mentioned, the Bodybuilding Nutrition Made Simple, will definitely help. All right, we have Tom joining us, Tom Butler, and he says he's from South Texas. Awesome. Glad to have you joining us, Tom. Really appreciate the support. We have Billy Nasher. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I do apologize, but we have Billy joining us, and he says, Lee, thanks for the years of motivation and videos. I've changed my life by watching you. Well, wow, thanks, Billy. I do appreciate the comments and the support, so thank you very much. Next comment coming through from Where Day at Doe, Where Day at Doe Alley. All right, interesting username. We'll have to talk sometimes about where do these usernames come from, but they're always interesting for sure. Anyway, his question is, Lee, if you were to train chest twice a week, would you train heavy on both sessions, or heavy and then 4 days later light? That's an interesting question, and it really depends on how your overall workout program is structured. You can do a lot of things, and it depends on the total volume of training per week. It depends on your goal, whether that is powerlifting, whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's athletic performance training. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. What I would recommend as kind of a general overall training, if you are going to do 2 chest workouts per week, probably do 2 different chest workouts. Now, you can still push yourself and train heavy and try and train in a progressive overload fashion, but do some different exercises. So, for example, let's say chest workout 1, you're probably going to focus on, I'll just pluck some exercises here. Let's say we're going to do a bench press. We're going to do dumbbell flies, and then we're going to do cable crossovers, right? That's a good overall complete chest workout. And then let's say for chest workout 2, you might want to do another bench press variation, like let's say an incline dumbbell bench press. And then you do maybe a pec deck fly instead of a dumbbell fly. And, maybe then you follow up with another exercise, probably like pullovers, for example. But bottom line, just do some different exercises so that you're getting more variety in your chest workouts over the course of the week. That's probably how I would go about it. But again, it really depends on the overall program. I mean, I'll give you another example that's totally opposite of what I just said. If you look at like powerlifting training, a lot of powerlifters will hit their major muscle groups twice per week. One will be a max effort heavy day, and the other will be a lighter dynamic effort day. For example, like in the West Side Barbell basic template, you do max effort on one day, and then later in the week, you're going to do a dynamic effort where it's just multiple sets with lighter weights, focusing on speed and explosiveness with the lighter weights. So again, I wish I could give you a more complete answer here, but it really depends on how you're going to structure your program and what it is you're training for. But hopefully that kind of gives you some insights into how you can go about manipulating that. Adam's joining us. He says, Lee, I'm 18. I've been bulking for a while, getting a bit of a belly, but not too bad. Do I keep on bulking? I've heard restricting calories as a teenager is bad. Anytime you follow a high-calorie bulking program, it's kind of inevitable that you're going to gain a little bit of body fat in the process. I mean, when you're gaining weight, it's very rare that every pound of mass you put on is going to be a pound of pure, solid, muscular body weight. Usually it's going to be a combination of muscle, combination of fat, and water weight. So as you bulk up, you're probably going to get a bit smooth. You're going to see your definition smooth out a little bit. That's pretty much inevitable. It's not necessarily a bad thing. And what I would probably focus on is set your sights. I mean, obviously, when you started bulking up, you probably had some goals that you wanted to achieve, to hit a certain body weight in a certain period of time, for example. Like, I'll just give you some examples. I mean, let's say you're, again, I don't know how big or heavy you are, but let's say you want to bulk up to 200 pounds. I mean, you maybe want to bulk up heavier or lighter than that, but let's just use 200 as an example. And you're probably like at 190 right now, and you got gaining a little tiny bit of body fat in the process, but you're still getting stronger in the gym and you're seeing progress in that regards. I would personally keep with the bulking program until you hit your goal weight. So let's say that was 200 pounds. Keep bulking until you hit that 200 pounds. And then you can kind of change your approach. Increase your cardio a little bit, scale back on the calories, and try and trim down and do a bit of a recomposition phase at that point to trim off some of that excess body fat and to maintain your lean mass after you've hit your desired body weight goal for bulking. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. And as far as restricting calories as a teenager, that really depends on the individual as well. I mean, if we have a teenager who is overweight, then yeah, I mean, restricting calories is not a bad thing in that case, because they need to lose some of that body fat. But for a skinny teen, I wouldn't recommend doing an extended cutting period. If at all possible, and to maximize your gains, you should focus primarily on being in a slight caloric surplus, or at the very least a calorie maintenance while you're in your teenage years and your body is in that prime time for growth. I mean, your natural anabolic hormones are at their peak at this stage. Your testosterone, your growth hormone, all your metabolic hormones, thyroid and digestive hormones, everything is at its metabolic peak right now. So you want to maximize that by ensuring that you're consuming adequate calories so that you can really maximize that natural growth that you can experience during your teenage years. Okay, moving on. We have Pro Reactor. Are there any pre-workouts you recommend? The main pre-workout that I recommend, I'm drinking it right now actually, coffee. And after this video chat, I am planning on heading to the gym. So that is my pre-workout of choice. There are other pre-workout supplements on the market, and a lot of them work, but sometimes they work too well. And what I mean by that is sometimes there's too much caffeine, too many stimulants, and they can actually burn you out if you overuse them. So I kind of try and be conservative with pre-workouts. something as simple as a cup of coffee, that little moderate amount of caffeine, I find beneficial. But if you start consuming a lot of caffeine and a lot of different stimulants, then it's kind of, you're walking a fine line, because you'll make progress initially, but then you can overstress your adrenal glands and find that you'll get to the point where it's not having the same benefit anymore. And then you may even get to the point where you simply have to take the pre-workout to get up to a new maintenance. So it's not actually enhancing your energy. You just kind of need that in order to kind of drag your ass to the gym. I prefer not to get to that point. So my personal pre-workout of choice is just a simple cup of coffee. That's what I recommend. That's what I use personally, and it works fine. Tom's got an okay. Just whatever there. Sorry, Tom was just replying earlier, saying that everything's coming through loud and clear. Thank you for that. Ken's got a question. This is Ken Becker. Thanks for doing these, Lee. What's your opinion on cardio being useless versus essential debate? So what's your opinion on the cardio being useless versus being essential? Health benefits aside, do you think it's necessary to burn fat in a deficit? Also, your thoughts on low intensity, steady state cardio. Great question. I don't think cardio is useless. I mean, even if you are at your ideal weight, that's not an issue. I think cardio is definitely beneficial, and not just for you physically, but for your mental health as well. I made a video about this, talking about how getting outside and going for a walk can be one of the best things you can do for your mental health and stress relief. It's almost like a natural antidepressant. It can, and the world we live in these days, a lot of people are under stress, and you need some sort of outlet to reduce stress in your life. Most people do. I mean, in fact, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who says, I have no stress whatsoever. Life is wonderful. Everything's great. Sunshine and unicorns. There's no stress in my life, yada, yada. I don't think I've known anybody who's in that position. Pretty much everybody, when you start talking with them, are going to say, I'm stressed about work. I'm stressed about family situations, stressed about paying the bills, stressed about going to school, stressed about whatever it is that they're involved with. There's stress in their life. So I like to use cardio as a natural stress reliever, and getting outside is the best way to do it. Now, I mean, you can do cardio in the gym. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's like 10 times better if you can get outside in nature, breathe in that fresh air. I mean, it's good for fat loss, but it's also good for your mental and physical health as well. So that's why I like to do cardio personally. It just makes me feel good. And if you kind of doubt it, try it. Like say for the next 2 weeks, get outside and go for a walk every day for the next 2 weeks. And I guarantee you'll feel better because of it. Okay, as far as the different types of cardio, so again, I kind of went off on a little rant there. Just want to specifically address the things that he was asking. Is it necessary to burn fat? Technically, no. I mean, if you're in a caloric deficit, you're doing weight training workouts, you can still burn fat through that alone. So as far as fat loss, you may not need cardio to burn fat. And it also depends on how active you are outside the gym. If you have a physically demanding job, you're doing physical labor, or you're just on your feet all day long, you're going to be burning a lot more calories than someone who's sitting at a desk all day long. So, your typical computer programmer is not going to burn as many calories as a construction worker. So, the computer programmer is going to need to do extra cardio in order to just get their daily activity up. A construction worker could skip the cardio because they're already getting lots of activity just from their job. So, do you need it? No, you don't. The main thing is diet. And even if you're in a fat lot, if you're in a calorie deficit and you're doing weight training, you can burn body fat regardless if you're doing cardio or not. But cardio will make the process of losing fat easier. As far as low intensity, steady state cardio, that's my personal favorite, especially if you are doing high intensity weight training. When it comes to all your different exercise that you're doing, weight training, cardio, any type of sports or other activities, you need to find a balance where you can recover. And just to give you an example, if you're pushing yourself in the gym with high intensity weight training and then you go and push yourself with high intensity cardio, that's going to lead to overtraining a lot faster than if you did high intensity weight training and low intensity cardio. So I like to balance it out. I find that the balance of high intensity and low intensity really go good together. They're a complementary form of exercise, and you can do the low intensity cardio in addition to the weight training without stressing out your central nervous system, without burning yourself out or hindering your recovery. So if you want to add in extra cardio to aid with fat loss, the low intensity cardio is probably your best option for that. Now, granted, you're not going to burn as many calories doing that, but look at the bigger picture. You know, if you're already doing high intensity weight training, you're getting a lot of the benefits of the high intensity from that. You're getting that afterburn effect that you hear about with the high intensity training. When you break down your muscles and your body has to recover from a weight training workout, that takes calories, and so you are burning calories all day long through building muscle and recovering from muscle building workouts. The low intensity cardio is a great way to form active recovery and to get extra exercise without further breaking down your body. All right, moving on again. Elliotness 100. Every time I take a pre-workout or I drink any type of caffeine, I feel terrible for a couple of hours, even days sometimes. What should I do to get energy before I work out? Well, obviously, when it comes to caffeine, we have different tolerance levels. Some people can tolerate it very well. I think that I'm one of those people. I usually have some caffeine on most days, and I tolerate it quite well. Others don't. In your case, obviously you don't. So do not consume caffeine or pre-workouts if you can't tolerate it. As far as getting some energy before you work out, you really don't need to have any sort of energy booster for that matter. I mean, you can still go to the gym without caffeine or without a pre-workout. What I would try and do is find a time when your natural energy levels are at their peak. Like if you're a morning person, try and go to the gym in the morning when your natural energy levels are higher. If you tend to function better, later in the day, then try going to the gym later in the day when your energy levels are higher. Try and avoid going to the gym during times when you just feel in a slump. So like, for example, I know a lot of people, if you work all day, after work, you're probably tired from that, a bit stressed out from it, and then you go to the gym, you may be feeling like you're dragging your butt at that stage. So if that's the case, you might want to try to work out first thing in the morning when you don't have you're not drained from a day's work, and you can get to the gym when you're fresh and well rested. So that might be an option for you. Another thing that you could look into, this is a bit controversial, and I made a video about this, but you can look into and just do a little personal experiment with this. Nicotine. And I don't mean cigarettes or smoking or anything like that. I mean like a nicotine gum. I made a video about this, actually. If you go search Lee Hayward nicotine, you will find it. This is something that I have actually experimented with using nicotine gum in moderation, like literally chew a piece of that before you go to the gym. Nicotine has a similar effect to caffeine, but it's in and out of your system faster. And it may, in your case, it might not have the same negative side effects as caffeine, but it has the energy boosting benefits. It also has some mental cognitive benefits. It makes you feel mentally sharp and alert. And it's something that you may want to experiment with. Now, I mean, there's a lot about this. So I made a video, and in that video, open up the video description, and you can actually read more information about it. I mean, there's been a lot of studies done on it. And to kind of clarify the doubts that you have, the nicotine is not necessarily the negative or the harmful chemicals that you find in tobacco that's associated with cancer and all that. I mean, nicotine is just one chemical out of literally thousands that's found in tobacco smoke. So it is one that potentially is addictive if abused, but the amount that I'm talking about is like 1 or 2 pieces of gum per day, which is, literally about the same as you would get if you were having 1 cigarette per day. That's about the amount. So it's not a lot, and I've used this myself. I went through a phase of going through it, and I found that it does give me that energy pickup. And sometimes if I need a little bit of an energy boost later in the day, and I don't want caffeine that's going to hinder my sleep, I'll sometimes chew a piece of nicotine gum, and I find that it gives me similar benefits, but it has a shorter half-life, so it's in and out of your system quicker, and again, it doesn't hinder my sleep. So it's something that you might want to look into. Again, you know, just trying to give you all options here, and check out my video on that for more information. Let's move on. Orang Zayeb. I think I'm pronouncing your name. Orang. Says, respect, sir. Please, I'm having a problem under feet blisters. Please make a solution. Please, thanks. Blisters due to walking. Please. All right. You're having blisters on your feet from walking. This is something, I mean, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a blister expert or anything like that, but it's just some things that I can think of off the top of my head. What kind of footwear are you wearing? Proper footwear, proper socks can definitely make a huge difference. Now, obviously, if you have the blisters right now, then you may need to try and minimize walking as much as possible to allow that to heal. But in the meantime, you can look into, again, footwear, proper socks, hygiene as well, you know, making sure that you're washing your feet on a regular basis, because, I mean, you don't want blisters or any fungus or anything like that to build up on your feet, like athlete's foot, that type of thing. Honestly, if I had this situation myself, I'd go speak with my doctor, because it's something that I really don't know much about. So I can't really offer a real solution to this other than go discuss it with your doctor, and they can hopefully analyze your situation and see what it is that you're having. I mean, who knows? It might not even be blisters. It might be something like plantar's warts, or it could be athlete's foot, or it could be something else that's causing the problem as well. So I think a medical checkup would be the best solution for this case. But again, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your question. I wish I could have been more helpful, but it's not my area of expertise. Adam's got another question asking, is running better or skipping? Also, would you do a high intensity interval training or prolonged run or skip? I don't know anybody personally who can do a prolonged skip. I mean, that is high intensity. I mean, I'm sure there are people who can do it, but I sure can't. If you've ever tried skipping, that is harder than it looks. I mean, it is very intense, and you know, it's definitely a high intensity cardio workout. As far as running, skipping, both of them I categorize as high intensity. As far as what would be better, it's personal preference. I mean, if you enjoy skipping, you can do it. You have good rhythm and technique for it and everything else, then it could be a great alternative, especially if the weather is not fine outside for running. You can probably do your skipping indoors. But personally, I would alternate them. Have multiple forms of cardio. When it comes to cardio, don't think of just doing one form of cardio over and over and over again. It's nice to have a wide selection of cardio that you can incorporate into your workouts. So I'll use myself as an example. Some days I'll get outside and I'll go for a walk. You know, that's low intensity cardio right there. Other days I might go for a mountain bike ride. I love going mountain biking, and where we live, we have a lot of hills and some trails and stuff like that. So mountain biking for me is like a high intensity interval training, because it's high intensity as I'm climbing the hills. It's active recovery on the flat and going downhill. So we have natural intensity intervals just due to climbing and descending hills. So that would be my interval training for cardio. Other times I might do my cardio indoors if the weather is not suitable. I have an elliptical machine at home that I use. Sometimes I'll do my cardio at the gym. It's like the Stairmaster or the rowing machine or the elliptical, something along those lines. So I have a wide variety of cardio that I'll do, and I don't consider one better or worse. It's just I'll cycle through them all. And I really kind of play it by ear. If I'm feeling high energy and I want to do something that's more demanding, then I'll go mountain biking, or I may go for a run. If I'm feeling a bit tired and beat down, I'll probably just do something easier, like go for a walk or use the elliptical, and just adjust the intensity of the cardio based on how you feel. You know, on your high energy days when you're feeling good, push yourself, do a high intensity workout. On your low energy days when you just don't have it and you're kind of dragging your heels, that's the day when you want to do some low intensity, and you can alternate it back and forth. All right, Sean is joining us from Australia, and he says, I've had open heart surgery 10 years ago, and my surgeon does not want me to lift heavy. Can I still build muscle without progressive overload? All right, again, I'm not a doctor, so I would follow the advice of your doctor in this case, but 10 years ago, I mean, I would assume, again, I'm not a medical professional, so I'm just assuming that you should be pretty well healed up after 10 years. So, I mean, you may be able to train in somewhat of a progressive overload fashion. Now, progressive overload is all relative. Like, what is considered heavy or high intensity is all relative. You don't need to go to the point where you are straining and struggling and repping out to failure and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can start off, like, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's just say you're going to do bench presses. You start off with the empty barbell, right? And you just go through the motions. We're going to do today's workout. We're going to do 3 sets of 10 with the empty barbell. One, right? Next week, we're going to put a 2.5 pound plate on each side. Or in your case, we're going to put a couple of kilos on each side, because I think you use kilos down in Australia. So we're going to put a couple kilos on each side, do the same thing. You know, the following week, we're going to put a couple more kilos on. So that's still progressive overload, but it's not repping out to failure. It's not to the point where you are grinding and struggling to you know, press that bar off your chest and at the point of like straining where you're going to tear and injure yourself, but it's still progressive overload. So that's how I would recommend that you go about training. Just start off ridiculously light at the beginning. Just go through the motions with the lightest weight possible, and then focus on increasing the weight ever so slightly week by week. And if you do that over the course of several weeks, several months, and over the course of several years, I mean, you can build yourself up to lifting relatively heavy weight and do so in a very safe and gradual fashion. And at all times, listen to your body. I mean, if you're doing those light sets and something doesn't feel right, you're getting a strain or a twinge in your chest or body, and something just doesn't feel right, then obviously I would either stop that exercise entirely and probably try and find another variation, or go check with your doctor. I mean, if it feels like something's just not right and your body's telling you, hey, don't do this, I would definitely go and check with your doctor to see, you know, if you do have any issues. But you should still be able to work out if you do so in a smart fashion and still incorporate progressive overload, just not repping up to failure and, you know, this balls to the wall intensity that you see a lot of people using. So hopefully that helps. And but again, I would definitely recommend that you discuss this with your doctor. You know, explain to him how you're planning on working out, and see if he would approve of that. Bill's joining us, and he says, I'll be working as a waiter for 5 months. Can I maintain all my gains using only dumbbells and resistance bands while cutting? My total daily energy expenditure will be 3,500 calories. I'm an intermediate lifter working out every day. Okay, first off, I mean, you can still make progress using dumbbells and resistance bands and body weight exercises. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But how is working as a waiter affecting your workouts? Unless you're working as a waiter somewhere that doesn't have access to a gym or something along those lines. I mean, you should still be able to continue a normal workout routine even if you have a job as a waiter. At least I would assume you can. I mean, I know lots of people who work in restaurants as waiters and they still go to the gym. So I don't know if that's going to be the reason that's hindering your progress, but you just might have to rearrange your workout schedule and train at a different time than you normally do. But to answer your question, yes, you can still make gains using dumbbells, resistance bands, and body weight exercises. You know, a lot of people think that you have to have like certain exercises in order to build muscle. Oh, you have to go to the gym, you have to lift barbells in order to build muscle. But it's not the case. I mean, you look at the physiques of like male gymnasts and female gymnasts too. I mean, both of them are phenomenal shape. They're not lifting barbells. Most of them are not even lifting dumbbells or resistance bands or anything like that. They're doing body weight exercises, and look at the physiques that they have. You look at a lot of athletes who build phenomenal physiques, and they're not necessarily doing barbell lifts. So as long as you're working the muscle, it doesn't matter if that muscle is being worked with a dumbbell, with a barbell, with a body weight exercise, with a resistance band exercise. The main thing is that you're just working the muscle and doing so consistently and in a progressive overload fashion. Okay, what else we got? We have another question here from LMOH Risk. I think that's the username. Anyway, says, Lee, what is about salt? All right, what is about salt? I really don't know how to answer that question other than salt is not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. I'm assuming you want me to discuss salt and how it affects a bodybuilding diet. If I were to try and elaborate on your question myself, salt is actually a essential, sodium, I should say, which is found in salt, is actually an essential mineral that we need to function properly. It's not the bad guy that the mainstream media tries to make it out to be. So if you are not consuming adequate salt, you'll actually suffer more side effects from that than if you were to consume too much salt. And in fact, within reason, there's really no such thing as too much salt. What I would consider, there would be too little water consumption, because as long as you're consuming adequate water, your body is going to utilize whatever sodium you consume and flush the rest out through sweat and urine. So even if you were eating ridiculously high amounts of salt, and I know of people who you know, I have, you know, if you look back over the years, like a lot of our ancestors used to eat a lot of salt, especially when they never had refrigeration. They used to salt their food as a way to preserve it. So, I mean, salt meat, salt fish, you know, and pickled vegetables and you know, things like that. Everything was packed in salt. And I mean, that would preserve them. So they would eat a lot of salt. But if they're drinking adequate water and they're physically active so that they're sweating and excreting that salt, the body works fine. The problem with salt, and this is where you get the mainstream media point of view, is if you have people who are sedentary, meaning they're not very active, they're not drinking a lot of water, and then they're consuming a lot of salt, well, then the salt doesn't have a way to leave the body. Because if you're not drinking a lot of water, then you're not flushing it out of your system. If you're not exercising, then you're not sweating and losing salt that way. So that's when you can have problems. But for people who are active, more salt is usually better than less. And I purposely add table salt to my food. I like to use sea salt. That's my personal favorite. I like the taste of sea salt, and that's what I do. But I'll purposely, you know, if I'm frying up eggs for breakfast, I'll put salt on my eggs. If I'm having, you know, chicken and potatoes, I'll put salt on my chicken and potatoes. I mean, I'll just purposely add salt to all my meals for taste and flavor, but it also helps to replenish the electrolytes that you lose while sweating, and I find that it makes a big difference. So if you're purposely trying to avoid salt, try just doing that, adding table salt to your food, and you'll probably actually notice that you get a better pump in the gym, you have more strength and energy, and you feel stronger and better overall. All right, let's move on. DSP Fan 92, what's your opinion on doing 10 tans with a 10? Are you mean 10 sets of 10? If I were trying to think, what's my opinion on doing 10 sets of 10? I guess that's what you're asking. That's known as the German volume training program, and it is a good workout program. I've used it myself over the years. You know, it's just another style of training. What you will find about it, if you are going to use the German volume training style 10 sets of 10, it's effective, but it gets a bit monotonous. So, I mean, after a few weeks or a month or so, it's going to get a bit monotonous doing one exercise for 10 sets of 10 for each of your major muscle groups. So that's the only downside, but it's a great way to train. And the thing that I like about it is it's a way to train in progressive overload without overstressing your body, like without overstressing your joints, tendons, and ligaments. Because generally how it works is you'll start off with a very conservative weight and just let the sheer volume of the workout, the 10 sets of 10 repetitions, fatigue the muscles. So the weight that you start off with initially might feel like a warm-up weight, but by the time you're getting up to sets like 8, 9, and 10, you'll be struggling with that weight. So that's one of the things I actually like about it. It's a way to build up your work capacity, and it's a way to train in a progressive overload fashion without placing a lot of excess strain on the joints, tendons, and ligaments. So if you are dealing with any sort of joint or tendon problems, this might be an alternative workout that you could look into doing. Operation Truth is joining us, and he says, lowering the weight to add reps better. That's known as pyramid style training, where you purposely increase the weight and reduce the reps with each succeeding set. Again, it's another way to train. Like when it comes to all these different styles of workout, like people say, well, is this better? Is that better? What's the best workout? There is no best workout. The best workout is, well, first off, the one that you're going to do consistently. And if you're already training consistently, then the best workout is something that's going to provide unique muscle stimulation for your body. Because every workout program you follow will go through 3 phases. You'll adapt to that program. And then through adapting, your body is going to grow in response to that program. And then eventually it's going to plateau. You're going to follow that program, and eventually it's going to get to the point where you're not getting the same progress as you once did. And you may even get to the point where you actually start to lose strength. And this is totally normal. Every workout program, if you follow it consistently, will go through adapt, grow, plateau. Adapt, grow, plateau. Every program. It could be a bodybuilding split. It could be the German volume training. It could be a body weight workout. It could be anything. You know, a powerlifting program, doesn't matter. Every program is going to go through this same cycle of adapting, growing, and plateauing. Once you go through that and you find, okay, I'm not getting the same results that I used to from this program, that's your cue to change it up and try something different. And this is the fundamental basis of the Workout of the Month program through the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Inner Circle Coaching Club. Every single month, I provide a unique workout program that is complementary to the previous month's program. And I do so to provide ongoing training stimulus for the members. So people will follow one program. Let's just say it's a bodybuilding split routine. They'll go through that, you know, adapt, grow, plateau. Once their progress starts to stall, okay, well, let's change it up. And then maybe we'll do a power training program. And we'll go through that for, 4 to 6 weeks. Adapt, grow, plateau with that. Once that happens, then maybe we'll change it up again and do a conditioning style program where you're going to focus on muscular endurance. And then go through the same thing, adapt, grow, plateau with that. And then we may switch it back up and do another bodybuilding style program. And it just continues to progress in that fashion. And by doing so, first off, it keeps the workouts fun and interesting because you're constantly having unique training variety, but it also provides unique muscle stimulation to help further your progress. So again, the best workout program is the one that's going to provide unique muscle stimulation and allow you to progress in a progressive fashion like that. So if you want more information about it, just head on over to totalfitnessbodybuilding.com. And like I say, you can sign up and be part of our Inner Circle Coaching Club community and get access to the Workout of the Month program. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Albin is joining us. Thoughts on blood flow restriction work on rest days? I think that's what you mean, BFR. So I'm assuming that you mean blood flow restriction work on rest days, exercises, and how much. I would not necessarily include that on the rest days. I would probably do it as part of your regular workout schedule for stubborn body parts. I posted a few videos sharing my personal experiences with blood flow restriction training on YouTube. So if you want to just go through it, I was using them for arm workouts, and I would, use the blood flow restriction using rubber bands is what I was actually using to help restrict blood flow. And I found it to be beneficial. I mean, I got very intense muscle pumps by using that method of training. And I found it very beneficial. It's not perfect because it can be a bit uncomfortable. You won't be able to handle as much weight, so it's not good in terms of a power training program. But if you're just looking for like a bodybuilding pumping program, then blood flow restriction works really well. And it is a nice change to help spur on new growth in stubborn areas, especially the arms. It's kind of like you can only really do blood flow restriction for arms or legs. It's not really. I know some people think that you can use it, like even if you restrict blood flow to your arms, it'll help with the chest development to a certain degree. I never really found that to be much of the case. I found it worked primarily for the arms, the limbs, the arms or the legs. And in fact, I've never tried it for the legs. My legs are not necessarily a stubborn body part, so I've only done it for the arms. But I did find that it worked really well. But I wouldn't do it on the rest days. I would have that as part of your regular workout schedule because it is intense. It will leave you feeling sore afterwards, especially if you've never done it before. So it's not like a little extra rest day workout. If you're looking for a little extra rest day workout, then that would be like low intensity cardio, stretching, yoga, something along those lines. I wouldn't do, something that like high intensity weight training as a rest day because I mean, that defeats the whole purpose of the rest day. If you are going to do it, make sure that the rest day exercise is low intensity, something that's gentle and promotes active recovery. Okay, Operation Truth asking plate loaded versus free weights. Please discuss pros and cons. Plate loaded machines versus free weights. All right. Plate loaded machines are usually things like a hammer strength or similar style machine. Also, we could look at like a plate loaded leg press, another one. As far as the actual machines themselves, there's not a lot of difference between a plate loaded and a weight stack machine. Now, again, it depends on the brand of the machine and everything else, but generally speaking, the only difference is going to be the way that a plate loaded machine, first off, is usually cheaper. So, I mean, for someone who's actually starting a gym or whatever, it's a cheaper alternative. So that's one pro versus a weight stack machine. But the mechanics of the exercise is very similar usually across the board. Now, of course, different brands and different styles of machine may have different levers and way that the resistance is set up. So it may feel slightly different. But overall, a plate loaded machine versus a weight stack machine, both of them are machines. Versus free weights. Free weights, we're referring to barbells and dumbbells. The thing that I like about machines is you can do a lot more exercises and train through different ranges of motion and different planes of resistance. Like, for example, you can do a pull down, a tricep push down. You can do these exercises with machines that you can't do with free weights, because free weights, obviously, you're working against the force of gravity. Whereas with the machine, you can have that resistance coming at different angles. So as far as pros and cons, I would use free weights for your big basic lifts, things like your presses and your rows and your squats and deadlifts and that type of stuff. But you can use machine exercises for all the other movements. So if you want to do like lat pull downs and tricep push downs and pec deck flies and cable crossovers and leg extensions and leg curls and all these different things that you can't duplicate with free weights, you can do them with machines. So the ideal scenario is a workout that includes both free weights and machines, not this either or. Jordan is joining us. Do you have any tips on getting a slimmer face? Lose body fat. Simple as that. The leaner you get, you're going to lose body fat from all over, and that includes the face as well. I mean, when I was competing in bodybuilding and I would diet down, my face would slim right out as well. I mean, you've probably seen like competitive bodybuilders when they are, right before a competition, sometimes their face is almost like sunk in, like, right, because they're right shallow and gaunt in the face. Because you lose fat all over. I mean, not just, in your belly and places like that. You lose it everywhere. So including the fat that's in your face. So bottom line, you just need to follow a fat loss diet and you will lose fat in your face as well. Okay, Brian's joining us. He says he's 48 years old, works out 5 days a week. His weight keeps going up, 5'9", weighs 215 pounds. Says he was 250, but lost all the way down to 165. But over the last 5 years, the weight has been steadily rising each year. All right, this is interesting because obviously, if you were 250, got down to 165, I'm assuming you followed a very strict diet and exercise routine to go from that. I mean, that's a lot of weight to lose, which is, you know, kudos to you. That requires an incredible amount of dedication and hard work to lose that much weight. But now you're starting to climb and gain weight again. Well, as you age, your metabolism is naturally going to slow down. You know, so that's what I'm kind of thinking may be the root cause. Now, it could still be diet and exercise related. Like, it's possible that you're not pushing yourself as hard or as strict with your workouts and your nutrition now as you once were, especially when you were down in that 165-pound range. But if you still are, and your weight is just climbing up, even though you're still pushing yourself hard and you're still dieting just as strict and all that, then I would think that it's possibly hormonal issues. Because as you age, you know, you're getting over the age of 30, everything starts to decline every year thereafter. And in your case, you're 48. So I would recommend getting your hormone levels checked. So testosterone levels, your growth hormone, your thyroid, those are the three big ones, especially when it comes to your metabolism and body fat. Get those checked out by your doctor. And if needed, look into hormone replacement therapy solutions. That may be the case, because if you have any imbalances, like if your thyroid is low or your growth hormone's low or testosterone's low, you can still be going through the motions. You can still be going to the gym and following the same diet and all that kind of stuff, but you're not going to get the same results. And you could be piling on body fat just due to these hormonal issues. So if I were in your situation, I would schedule an appointment with your doctor and get some blood work done to see where you are in terms of your hormone levels. I mean, it's a good idea to get a checkup, you know, every year or so anyway, especially as you get older. I mean, when you're younger, it's not quite as big of a deal, but as you get older, you should be, you know, making regular visits with the doctor at least once a year to get a good checkup and make sure that everything is okay. Because early detection of any health issues is critical to getting it fixed and to prevent it from becoming a serious problem later on down the road. So book yourself an appointment with your doctor and get your hormone levels checked. Azim is joining us. He says, "Hi Lee, my question is regarding being hydrated during fasting during Ramadan. You might know it's a religious obligation. What I try is drink a liter of water at the start and end of fasting. Your thoughts?" All right, I've never done a dry fast. All right, I've experimented with fasting before, not for religious reasons, because, you know, I'm again, nothing against Ramadan. I actually made a video talking about Ramadan a while back, but I've never experimented with dry fasting, but I have done water fasting. Water fasting is a lot easier than dry fasting. Now, the difference, for those of you watching, wonder what the heck's he talking about? Water fasting is consuming no food or no caloric substances, so you know, no food or drink that contains calories, but you're allowed to drink water or non-calorie beverages such as like coffee or tea, provided it's black. You know, no sugar, no milk added to it. Dry fasting is no consumption of anything whatsoever. So no food, no water, no nothing. Totally dry fasting. Obviously, dry fasting is a lot harder, and that's what's required for Ramadan. It's dry fasting from the daylight hours, I believe. So from sunrise to sunset, no food or water. That's hard. So what I mean, all I can recommend is you do your best to consume adequate fluids when you can during the day or night in this case. So what you're doing, you say you start you start with a liter of water at the beginning and then a liter of water at the end. That's a good guideline to go by. And you might even want to bump that up. Like you could literally consume a liter of water per hour, you know, for say like a couple hours before the fast and a couple hours after the fast. And that would even be better because you want to kind of replenish the fluids that you're losing during the fast. So, you know, I get this question every year. Since I've been online. So I've been getting this question now for, I started my website back in 1999. So every year since 1999, I've been getting people asking, well, how can I deal with Ramadan? How can I, and honestly, there's really nothing magical that you can do. I mean, what I would recommend, just cut back on the intensity of your workouts and just do the best you can with your limited feeding window of opportunity during the night. You know, that there's nothing magical or special that anybody can recommend other than, you know, just go with it. Realize that you're not going to be able to push yourself in the gym very hard. Realize that losing some weight and losing some strength and muscle is probably inevitable during this time. But the good news is once it's over and you get back to eating and training normally again, you're going to regain whatever muscle you lost. So you know, there's no magical solution that's going to, like, you know, do this one simple trick and boom, you know, all your woes are solved. It doesn't work that way. You know, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage for that month. But again, it's only 1 month. As soon as it's over and you get back to eating and training normally, you'll quickly regain whatever you've lost and then be able to continue making progress beyond that. Let's move on. We have John Doe is joining us. Any input on doing arms twice in one day with a 6-hour rest in between? I only have dumbbells to work with and gains have stopped. I mean, you could try it and see how your body responds, but for most people, I would not recommend doing a workout where you're training the same body part twice in one day. I think that's kind of overkill. The way the body works is you want to go in there, you want to train it, stimulate the muscles, or you're actually breaking down the muscles, and then you allow them time to rest, recover, and grow. And if you're trying to train that body part again 6 hours later, it hasn't had time to rest, recover, and grow. It's still in you know, the breaking down phase. So I kind of think it's pointless unless you're doing some specific program or some specific challenge or whatever. I mean, for bodybuilding purposes, it's pretty much pointless. So I would recommend not doing that. Like, let your body go through the full recovery process before you train that body part again. I think that would be the best solution for most people. One thing you may want to try doing instead is like a daily arm workout. And when I say this, I'm not talking about like a full-on high-intensity arm workout every single day. You would probably only do that like once, maybe twice per week. But you can do some daily pumping exercises. Some people refer to this as feeder workouts. So let's say you go to the gym and you train your arms heavy once a week. You do a full workout with whatever it is you're doing. You know, you're doing full exercises for your biceps and triceps, really good complete arm workout. And then on your off days from that, you can do some just light pumping exercise. So just grab a set of light dumbbells and maybe pump out like 30 reps of curls and maybe 30 reps of tricep extensions. That's it. And all it is just a light pump to help generate more blood flow and more nutrients into the muscles. And by regularly just pumping blood into those muscles, it can help to aid with growth, you know, over time, because again, it's just constantly flooding them with blood and nutrients. It's a light pump, but it's not so much that you're breaking down the muscle. So it's actually like an active recovery workout / pumping workout. And again, a lot of people refer to it as a feeder workout. And this is a good strategy for bringing up a stubborn body part. So this is something you'd only do once a day. And I would recommend that if you want to try and do something a bit outside the box to help spur on new growth in your arms. That's something you can try to doing. But as far as a twice a day full, you know, high intensity workout, I think that would be counterproductive. Carlos is joining us, and he says, Lee, does using an electronic cigarette with or without nicotine hinder or affect muscle growth? I know you mentioned regular tobacco cigarettes before, but I want to know if e-cigarettes do the same. I'm not very familiar with e-cigarettes. I've never ever used one myself. It's something that I haven't really studied much on, so I can't really comment on it, but I can comment on the nicotine portion. Nicotine is not going to hinder your muscle growth in moderation. In fact, it can actually be a mild performance enhancement. And what I mean by that is it can help to have similar effects as caffeine. I mentioned this in one of our earlier questions up there. And I have a video about nicotine as well. So if you want to do search Lee Hayward nicotine, you can find that. But as far as the e-cigarette itself, I don't think it would. I mean, and I'll mention this. I mean, even cigarettes, you can still build muscle, burn fat, even if you're smoking regular cigarettes. Now, of course, I'm not saying that it's going to help, but you can still build muscle and burn fat despite the fact that you're smoking cigarettes. Like, what you need to look at is the overall bigger picture. I mean, if you're doing enough things that are helping your progress, but then you have a couple things that are hindering it, you can still have the scales tipped in favor of progress and make gains, even though not everything is perfect. So that's the case with cigarettes. I mean, you'll see some people, right? They're really strict with their training, really strict with their nutrition, you know, strict with their recovery and all that kind of stuff, but they smoke. So because they have the main basis covered, they're still making progress despite the fact that they have this one little nagging area that's kind of holding them back. So you can still make progress. Now, is an e-cigarette going to help improve your performance? I kind of doubt it, but again, I haven't really studied it to know. But will it really hinder your progress? If you're doing everything else that's moving you in the right direction, I don't think that's going to hinder your progress in the long term. So you can most likely still make gains smoking an e-cigarette with or without nicotine. Brian has got a question saying, I enjoy your videos most because you have useful information and keep the language classy. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. And I know what you mean. I watch YouTube videos like everybody else, right? And some of the videos, people are just dropping F-bombs left, right, and center and are very negative in their videos. And I know some people obviously like it because when I look at the views, I mean, some of these videos get a lot of views. But that's not my style. I personally don't like it. And I find it, not that I'm trying to be like, you know, a little do-gooder or something like that or anything like, I mean, of course there's a time and a place for using a curse word. But if you're constantly dropping F-bomb, 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 it kind of has no meaning anymore, and it's just ignorant and abusive. But if you hear me drop an F-bomb, it's because I really mean it. So, you know, in that case, it has more impact than someone who's using it as part of their everyday language. So, but again, thanks for your comment, Brian. I appreciate it, and I'm glad that you enjoy the videos. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Adam's joining us. Have you ever suffered from exertion headaches, and do you have any solutions? Yes. And rather than taking up a lot of time here on the video chat, I'm going to just refer you to a video that I made talking exactly about exertion headaches. So do a YouTube search for Lee Hayward exertion headache, and you will find it. Again, I went into a lot of detail explaining the root causes of them and what you can do to avoid exertion headaches. So again, Lee Hayward, exertion headaches, do a search for that. You'll find my video that I made. You mentioned, this is Azim asking this one, saying, you mentioned Vince Gironda's book in older videos. Is it still up for grabs? Yes. If you go type in vincegirondaprogram.com, vincegirondaprogram.com, you'll find that ebook. It's still available. I think I got it here somewhere. I have a hard copy of it as well, but it's available as an ebook on that website, vincegirondaprogram.com. Second now. This is the one right here. This is a printed hard copy version of it, but just to show you, like, it's a pretty meaty book, right? You know, and I've read this thing cover to cover, and I love it. Oh shit, I lost my bookmark. Throw it in there. I've read it cover to cover, and it covers a lot of cool stuff, a lot of history of Vince Gironda, some of the different programs that he advocated. I don't agree with everything he said. Like, there's some of this stuff in here I'm like, that's just way out in left field. I don't totally agree with that. Like, some of his exercise and nutrition strategies I don't personally agree with, but most of it I do, and I think it was pretty darn ingenious. And I think, if he was around today with the technology that we have available today, where he could kind of refine some of the things that he was working on, he would have been, like, some people consider him far ahead of his time as it is. But I think if he had the technology and the research that was available today, he could have done wonders for helping to advance exercise and nutrition. But again, Vince Gironda program, vincegirondaprogram.com, and it's a 334-page book, so it's pretty meaty. It's a good, definitely worth reading. Just lay that to the side there. Okay, we have Sketch J1. Lee, do you think doing push, pull, legs, repeat with Sunday off is too much? Doing about 4 exercises, 3 sets of 12 for each muscle group. It really depends on your work capacity. So if you're doing it and you feel that you're recovering from it, you're making gains, keep doing it. If you find that you're feeling a bit drained, a bit burnt out, you're probably more delayed onset muscle soreness, then you might want to scale it back. So again, that's one thing that you might want to try doing that I kind of think would be a better alternative would be to do a push-pull legs and take a day off, push-pull legs, take a day off. So it's just throwing in a full day of recovery after you go through the entire workout cycle. Now, the only thing is, if you do that, it's going to throw off your workout split, so it's not going to be in line with the days of the week, which is really not a big deal because your muscles don't know if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or whatever. Your muscles only know training, stimulus, and recovery. So if you're one of these people who like to have your workouts line up perfectly with the days of the week, then obviously you might want to adjust it accordingly. I don't care. I mean, I'll let my workout days fall whenever. I don't care what day of the week it happens to be. So I'll go through the training and recovery days as I feel I need them, and then let the workouts fall on whatever day of the week it just happens to be. Okay, I'm going to answer another question, and then we're going to clue it up. We've got Max joining us saying, "Hi, Lee. Nice to see you live. Just downloaded the app, and I love it. Greetings from Manchester, England." Well, thanks, Max. Appreciate the support, and glad that you downloaded the Total Fitness Bodybuilding app and you enjoy it. If you could do me a big favor, I would really, really, really appreciate it. Leave me a review on the app store that you downloaded from, whether that was Google Play or iTunes, and leave me a review for the Total Fitness Bodybuilding app. I would appreciate it. Every review helps. Hopefully it will be a positive one, but you said you love it, so I'm sure it would be a positive review, but most of them are. I think like my review ratings is like 4.5 stars or something like that. So we did have a few technical issues. That was some of the negative ones where people, their phones weren't compatible with the app or something like that, and they couldn't download it or it wouldn't open properly. But it wasn't necessarily problems with the app. It was a compatibility issue with like older phones. But if you have a reasonably new phone, and I mean like reasonably new within the last few years or so, then it'll work fine. But again, thanks, Max. I appreciate your support. Much appreciated. Where was I? Okay, I just lost my place there. Give me a second. Okay. All-Tide Sevenson. Is one exercise per muscle group in one session enough to stimulate growth, referring to full body workouts? Yes, you can still stimulate muscle growth with one exercise per muscle group, provided that you are training in a progressive overload fashion. And the way the body works is, even though you're not necessarily hitting every single angle of the body, with like one exercise per muscle group, you're still strengthening that muscle group. So for example, if you do bench presses for your chest, and that, let's just say you go through a training cycle and that's the only exercise you do for your chest. I mean, yeah, of course you're going to get stronger with the bench press, but that strength will carry over into other exercises as well. So for example, if you find that your flat barbell bench press gets stronger, then chances are your dumbbell bench press will also get stronger. And the weight that you can lift with the incline bench will also get stronger. And then the strength that you have for doing flies will also get stronger. So it carries over. You don't need to necessarily train every single angle of the muscle in order to make progress. Now, of course, there are advantages to including a wide variety of exercises and hitting the muscle from multiple angles. But in your case, when you're doing a total body workout, you can do that confidently, resting assured that you're still making good overall gains. And I mean, I've went through phases myself where I've done abbreviated programs. Like one in particular, I did a full body workout that consisted of bench presses, squats, and deadlifts. That was it. I did it 3 days a week, bench, squat, deadlift, and boom. I mean, it worked really well. I mean, sometimes doing abbreviated programs like this consistently, you can make some really good gains because you're focusing all your energy into those few movements and you're not wasting extra energy and recovery on other movements. So sometimes these short little simple abbreviated programs can be very effective. And then if you cycle them, like you say you did that for a couple months and then you cycle it with a more complete bodybuilding split type of program, then you can really see some progress happening as you change the modality of training and get into including more exercise variety. And then, you know, it's almost like you start a whole new growth spurt again once you change up the workouts. But yeah, you can definitely make progress with simple total body workouts. All right, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue it up. I really appreciate everyone tuning in and submitting your questions. And we had lots of positive feedback and support to the video chats. So again, I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll be doing another live video chat next Friday. This is going to be a regular thing. If for any reason that I can't do with them, you know, like if I have something coming up where I'm going to be out of town or whatever, I'll let you know in advance. But other than that, this is going to be like a weekly thing. Every Friday afternoon, you can kind of like bank on it. Lee's going to be doing a live video chat because I enjoy doing them. And obviously, you enjoy watching them or you wouldn't be here. So look forward to talking to you next week. Have yourself a fantastic weekend and take care. Over and out.